Okay, would you fight to return democratic rights to the city council chambers, including the 5 minutes to speak, citizens' rights to pull items from the consent calendar, and also fix the other matters of which we're all certainly aware?
I do think that citizens should have the right to take an item from the consent calendar and move it to the discussion calendar. The 5-minute rule versus the 3-minute rule, I would like to think about a little more. I don't think enough information on that. When I chaired the Community Police Review Commission for 3 years, we had a 5-minute speaking rule that worked well. So I'm certainly not against it, but I'm not ready to pledge to move it from 3 minutes to 5.
Okay, what do you think of the current City Council's Code of Ethics and Conduct? Would you support a stronger Code of Ethics and Conduct, or how else would you like to see it strengthened?
I think that's a little like the question of, do we need more animal control laws? I think we need to live by the laws that we have, or the Code of Conduct that we have, rather than looking at adopting new ones at this stage. It's not a bad code. There are some things that could be strengthened, but if everybody will live by it, I think things will go much better than they have.
What are your views on the effect that developer contributions have on the City Council races and the integrity of the Council judgment when considering these developers' projects when brought before the Council?
I have some concern with anyone accepting a contribution from someone who has business either presently or shortly to come before the Council. Even if there isn't a real conflict, if it doesn't affect the Council members' position on the item, it gives the appearance that there may be a conflict. So I would discourage Council members from accepting contributions from people who have present business before the Council, or are expecting to have business before the Council in the fairly near future.
Okay. City Hall has existed for 30 years. The city is spending an estimated $6.25 million on improvements to City Hall. These improvements will save the city an estimated $100,000 a year. At that rate, it would take the city 62 years for the improvements to pay for themselves. Do you think it's fair that there are many elderly people who have owned their homes in the city for 50 or more years and have not seen one improvement on their own streets?
One of the planks of my campaign has been that we need to divert some of the city's expenditures from the downtown into the neighborhoods. We do not spend enough effort and money in maintaining the infrastructure in our neighborhoods. I think many of the so-called improvements to City Hall are simply not needed. I don't see why we need a fancy new restaurant in City Hall to compete with restaurants that are already in the downtown area. Excuse me.
Okay, the Anaheim City Council voted unanimously to put an eminent domain initiative on their ballot for their voters. Would you support and push for using the same language and same mechanics as the Anaheim, Newport Beach, Dana Point, Chula Vista model for the city of Riverside to put it on the ballot for their citizens?
I think if the citizens want to have a eminent domain initiative on the ballot, they certainly have that right. I would not oppose putting something there. I can't say exactly what language I would support. The question lists several cities, and I suspect that the language in all the cities is not the same. I don't have any problem with the citizens having an opportunity to vote on how they would like eminent domain used in their city.
Okay, and the last question. Would you abandon the appeals of the lawsuit against Ken Stansberry, regardless of what the city attorney presents as precedent or legal mumbo-jumbo?
I think the city's lawsuit against Mr. Stansberry has been a waste of time and taxpayer money, and I would support abandoning it. I just don't see there being a benefit in it. I don't see it setting a valuable precedence. It just seems to me that it's something that we all would do better without. One council member doesn't have the ability to make it go away or not go away, but my support would be for allowing that to die a natural death in the near future.
Okay, anybody?
My name is Steve Pencall, and I'm a resident of Ward 1.
Hi, Steve.
Pleased to meet you, Mike. And today I just returned from Hemet. I have two small children. They're 4 and 7. children's museum in Hemet, which used to be in Riverside before some unfortunate oversight allowed it to leave the city. Is there any possibility that we might try to return the children's museum from Hemet? I don't think they're going to let it go, but could we look into the possibility of getting a children's museum for Riverside?
Absolutely. I think Riverside needs a children's museum. I took my grandchildren to that one that was here and enjoyed it. I thought it was a great facility, and I think we need something along those lines to replace it.
Okay. There was, as you know, there was a huge fire at Unlimited Plastics on June the 26th, which shut down the freeway and injured several firefighters. And do you think that that incident showed a failure of code enforcement or to deal with real problems versus having code enforcement go and cite people for not watering their lawns or trivial matters like that?
I'm not sure whether code enforcement failed in that case. I understand that they had inspected the facility within the required time frames. I have a question as to whether that's an appropriate use in the city. I think it may be more of a zoning issue. I do believe that a facility like that ought to be inspected on a regular basis if it's going to be within the city's boundaries. That was not the first fire at that facility. It's at least the second major fire there. And no offense to the owner of the facility, but that is a risky kind of a business, and it's in an area where I really wonder whether that is the proper use for that area. As far as code enforcement goes, I think we ought to be concentrating our code enforcement on, as you said, Steve, real problems and not the little ones.
Okay, I have one more question. Why do you think the press enterprise is so pro-Betro?
I honestly have no idea. Obviously I think I am the better candidate. All four of the candidates for Ward 1 in the general election were interviewed by the press enterprise. The editorial board made their decision, and I can't second guess them.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Paul, I'd like to thank you for inviting me here this evening. It's been a pleasure, and I was glad to answer your questions. I hope that people will give serious consideration to the differences between the two candidates when they make their decision to who to support in the November election. But above all, please do vote. Thank you very much.